Oh, it's gone.
Okay, good morning and welcome back to another Gardner High Impact Online Teaching video. This morning we are thrilled to have Dr. Rasha Elhage with us to share her takeaways from the Gardner Institute. So good morning, Dr. Elhage. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Lynch, for giving me this opportunity. So my name is Dr. Rasha Elhage, and I am Assistant Professor of Special Education at the College of Education at Chicago State University. And today I am going to talk about my takeaways from the Gardner Institute course, which was entitled High Impact Online Teaching and Learning for Faculties at HBCUs. So to start, let me tell you why I chose to participate in this course. When COVID hit, I felt like I was thrown on a stranded island, and, disconnected from my colleagues, disconnected from the resources, disconnected from my office, my books. When I saw the email, I immediately jumped at the opportunity and felt like, I wanted to have this type of learning through a community and not just, participating in a webinar where it's just not a lot of interaction. So I signed up, and I'm very glad that I did because the learning that took place was amazing in terms of online learning and teaching. And if I wanted to share with you what I wanted to accomplish in this course, I felt like I should be a break dancer after I finish participating in this course. I really wanted to create my own toolbox of best practices for online teaching. I wanted to learn about strategies to keep students engaged in online course. I'm pretty good at keeping my students engaged in a face-to-face, but it's always a challenge to keep them engaged in an online course. And I was looking to identify ways to reach and accommodate all students in an online environment. And all of this was new to me. I've only been teaching online for 2 years, and I felt like I had so much to learn, and the Gardner Institute course really helped me, step up my game. And I learned so much throughout this course, and this is what I am going to share with you. I'm going to share some of the learning that took place, because if I were to share everything, it would be days. So for the purpose of 30 minutes, I'm going to share some examples of what I accomplished by participating in this course. So the first thing that I was so excited about was learning how to create my Bitmoji. And then once I knew how to do it, I went crazy with it. It was all over my syllabus. It was all over my Moodle page.
For those of us who don't even know what a Bitmoji is, can you explain that a bit?
Well, the Bitmoji, if you look at the to the right of the screen, this is pretty much me. So it's like a small avatar that you personalize and you make it look like you. And it comes like in different situations with different little, writings. So you can use it for any situation, and it just adds some life to whatever you're trying to do. So even sometimes with my informal emails, I include a Bitmoji. And it just, it just puts some, it breaks that sometimes very formal feeling that we have and especially that we are disconnected from everybody. It just gives it a little bit touch of human, I guess. So that's why I loved it so much. And being somebody who's very visual, again, I went postal with it. It was everywhere, and I was using it every time I can. And as you can see, I'm using it here in my presentation. And I also made multiple additions to my syllabus because of the different presentations that we had through the Gardner Institute, and I will go through some of these additions through the presentation. I created a new virtual collaborative assignment, and I will tell you all about it. I changed the look and feel of my Moodle page, and I applied a strategy that is very simple yet very powerful. That's called transparency in learning and teaching. And that was for just one assignment. And the plan in the future is to start applying it for each and every assignment that I share with my students.
And you said these are just examples of some.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. These are just examples. So I will start by, some of the things that I added to my syllabus, and it was a statement of belonging. We had, when the first time we met at the Gardner Institute, we had a presentation about the sense of belonging and how it was important to boost learning. And when you feel a sense of belonging in the classroom, you actually perform better. And as an immigrant, I can totally relate to that because, for the longest time, I felt like, do I belong here? Is this something that is appropriate to me or not? And the times where learning happened the most was when I really felt invested and I felt, oh yes, I belong to this group and I belong to this cause that we are, pursuing. So I included this belonging statement about in every course. And I explained to the students why they belong to the course. And for this particular course, it was learning about characteristics of students with special needs. So I told them that, as future special education teacher, you will deal with all types of students with disabilities in your classroom. So it's really important to understand all the disabilities and their characteristics, so you can really find the appropriate strategies to teach them, which will make you an exceptional professional. And I also told them it's a required course. So it's not like you had the choice. You had to take it, but there is merit into taking the course.
That's nice.
And I also added some language, which I didn't have before. Even though many of us do practice, respecting diversity and, have this inclusive environment in our classroom, but I never really had it on my syllabus. So one of the things that I took away from the course was to include this type of statement in my syllabi and share it with the students and tell them, I respect everyone from all diverse backgrounds and perspectives. This is a safe environment. This is a brave environment where you can share your thoughts and we will discuss them in a very respectful way. And I also gave them different venues in case they don't have this feeling, who to share it with, and make sure to share it with me at the end of the course as part of the evaluation, so I can improve for the following semesters. So these are two of the things that I added to all of my courses on my syllabi. I also added.
Can I ask you a question before we
Sure.
go to the next piece? Did your students comment on the belonging or the promise? Did you get any sense that they were surprised by those two new elements?
They weren't. They were not. It just felt like they were. It was clicking. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and it's just, when I went through the diversity and inclusion, I'm not going to say that it was a sense of relief, because I don't, but it was something similar to relief, more like, oh, okay, it's, this is a difficult time. We're going through a pandemic. As students, we have our own hardships. But this is a professor that is going to understand and is going to accommodate all of us, despite our background and despite the hardships that we're going through. So, it was kind of a relief when I read the statement to them. And it would be interesting to see it when we do it face to face,
Yes.
you know, how the classroom's going to react, because it's different when you're doing it online. Some people have their cameras on, some don't, you know, some type in the chat box. So you can't really, you know, grasp really the impact of having the statement in your syllabus. So another thing that I added to my syllabus was, what does it mean to be engaged online, right? Because for many of those students that we have, some of them never took an online class. And I felt that to explicitly describe the types of behaviors and expectations and what it means to be engaged online would give them a better understanding and maybe, you know, better dispositions to be more engaged online. So, you know, I explained to them what it is to be engaged online, and I shared it with them, you know, what it means to be active, what it means to be passive online, because it's different. You know, when you're face to face, you can, you know, it's easy to call on students and make sure that, you know, your whole class is participating. Versus online, it's a little bit more challenging. So I felt, you know, putting out there all the expectations and describing those specific behaviors would give them better chances of succeeding at engaging online. So these are some of the additions that I am sharing about my syllabus. And as you can see, Bitmojis everywhere.
Yes, yes.
And you can totally tell that I was a special ed teacher, right?
But what a great way to build that sense of community right from the get-go.
Yes, yes. And I do feel they're not disconnected, and I can feel that that they're, you know, because of the pandemic and because of this, you know, everything moving online, everybody's feeling so disconnected. But having those elements in my syllabus and emphasizing them kind of reduced those feelings of disconnection. And like you said, you know, creating a community where, you know, it's safe to share, you know, it's encouraged to engage, made my courses a little bit better and made me feel better about teaching online.
Great.
So another addition about that I added was called QQTP. So a lot of those students, you know, first of all, did not know what synchronous and asynchronous meant. So we had to explain those. But also I thought, you know, I wanted them to come to the synchronous meeting kind of prepared and in the right mindset to participate. So I asked them to, every time before a synchronous meeting, to prepare something called QQTP. And this is something that I picked up from one of the documents that were shared from the Gardner Institute. And it's very simple, yet very efficient. So you ask them to come prepared with a question about their reading. So they prepare your question to ask during live chat. You ask them to pick up a quotation, that's the second cue, something that was significant to them, that stood out from the reading, and then a talking point. So prepare one talking point to spark a discussion. And this really put things a little bit more, made things more interactive. You know, everybody wanted to share their question, they wanted to share their talking point, and they were much more engaged. So I felt this was like a really good way to make them come to the synchronous meetings with an engagement kind of mindset. And I also created a new collaborative virtual assignment. For this particular course that I am referring to, students were supposed to complete clinical experiences, hours for clinical experiences, but because of COVID, students could not be in the classroom. So we had to find alternatives for this assignment. And we, as a college, we discussed what our alternatives would be. And we felt that we could substitute, I mean, the second best thing to being in the classroom would be to watch educational videos that were of high quality. And I started thinking, like, I want them to collaborate because it's online. Usually it's, individual work, but because, I want to break that isolation. I want, again, to reinforce this feeling of community. So I decided to create, for them, when they watch the video, they were going to complete a think, pair, and share. So they would, I had a set of questions that they would have to answer. They would watch the video, and then they were put in groups, and they would meet on Zoom to discuss their findings about the video. And as they meet on Zoom, they would record their meeting, and then they would upload it on Moodle as a podcast.
Okay.
And I gave them the choice. You could be on video, or you could just make it as like voice and no camera. So I had some who were on video and some who were just, voice. And it was really, really interesting to see their reflections, their discussion. And I felt this was, we had some technical issues, I have to say, like, oh, this is not uploading. Oh, what do you need? Do you need an MP4, MP3? So, after we kind of overcame those technical obstacles, it was really great. It was really great to see them and to have those, so other groups could see what the other groups had to say. Yeah. And it felt like, I was incorporating technology, and it was collaborative, and they were not, doing the video watching in isolation. So it was really interesting. And again, I knew about podcasts before the course, but I never knew how to use it. Yeah. So, I got all these ideas after finishing the course. I'm like, yeah, podcast. I am going to include podcasts as part of my assignment.
And what a great way to get them to collaborate and to be able to hear so many different perspectives off of the one video that they would forget just observing it and writing their own reflections.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was very interesting. And, they had to work together. They didn't know each other before. And I had a few incidents where, I had emails like, I don't want to work with this group. They're lazy. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, but we had to work it out. That's just part of, working with groups and assigning groups. And, but it was fruitful. It was, I was really happy with the outcome, and I am definitely going to repeat it for the next semesters, and, maybe make it a little bit more sophisticated now that we went through the pilot phase. But we'll see how it's going to come together.
What a great idea.
So this is the virtual collaborative assignment that I created to substitute an assignment that was no longer possible to complete. And like I said, I did a makeover to my Moodle. And if, before, I felt I was like doing okay with my Moodle page, right? I had my syllabus, I had my assignments, the quizzes, the discussion forum, and, I was posting my PowerPoints. But, after learning about Bitmoji and all the other cool stuff that I could do with, with my LMS page, it became nicer and more alive and more colorful. So I had the podcast, I had some voice notes, how-to videos. That's another thing that, that was encouraged, like, how to upload an assignment, how to join Big Blue Button, how to, participate in the forum discussion. And, we kind of assume that our students know how to do it, but some of them don't. So I included sections about those how-to videos. I included COVID-19 resources. I included a visual of my virtual classroom, and of course the Bitmojis. And I am just going to quickly show you how it's it became.
Ooh,
So
we are in your Moodle course right now, right?
exactly. So this is my Moodle course. This is my SED 5476, Characteristics of Learners with Behavioral Learning and Cognitive Disabilities. So this is my virtual classroom. So as soon as my students open their page, they are welcome to their virtual classroom.
It feels so welcoming. I just want to sit down and have a chat with you.
Yes, yes. And you can see I included my Fluffy here. This is my real cat. And then they go down and they, I have all these resources for them, the templates that are required for the assignment, the syllabus, technology requirements. And these are the how-to videos. So I put them in a folder. I included information about netiquette, which I wasn't aware of before the course. Netiquette is etiquette for online teaching and learning. So again, when we talk about those behaviors and expectations that they're not really aware of, and just explicitly presenting it to them makes it a lot, makes it a lot better and more positive to have the students online. And I have resources, my office hours, online office hours, and this is how my week 1 starts. And I say, start here. And then they have the assignments, then the live chats, the discussion, etc. And this is my week 2. And
big emojis introduced each week.
Yes.
So beautifully organized. You get the preview of the week. The color coding is fantastic as well.
Yes, thank you. And I'm just going to show you, these are the, this is the podcast for the Think, Pair, Share. I don't know if I can click on it.
And it opened.
Okay.
We see it.
So these are some of the groups that participated. So this group had video. This group had video. The first group had only a recording. So it was really interesting to see. Yeah, this one had only had a recording. So I gave them the option to make them more comfortable.
Did you notice any difference in the quality of, well, certainly the quality of the participation. How about the quality of the understanding of the content, the quality of their discussions? Any difference between your prior face-to-face experiences?
It was more engaging. It was, having these put in place for an online course. They were definitely more engaged than my previous online courses that I taught. So this is where I felt like the positive impact of including all those elements and making them part of Moodle and making them part of my syllabus.
And did you get the sense that the students enjoyed doing it this way? Any kind of feedback on the process itself?
They loved it. They loved it. I mean, students like to talk about their experiences. And when you give them a tool to express themselves and to share their thinking, especially that this is something that's, it's related to their experience and it's related to their profession. So they loved it. They loved participating in the podcasts. Once we figured out the technical part of it, they really, the feedback that I got from them is this was a pretty cool assignment.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I imagine for your next course, you'll have another video on what the technical processes are, right? Ahead of time.
Absolutely. And, because we learned so much from this one, this past semester, what were some of the obstacles. So I kind of, compiled them and made a how-to video for next time. And step by step, how to complete this assignment without facing any technology problems. And the last thing I would like to share with you is a strategy that kind of attracted me because it was so simple yet very powerful. And it's called the Transparency in Learning and Teaching, the TILT. And this is like a strategy, it's a research-based strategy that was found to boost student learning in 3 ways. So there was research that was completed while implementing this strategy. It boosts students' performance in their academic confidence, their sense of belonging, and their metacognitive awareness of skill development. And all you have to do, very simple, add those 3 components to your assignment. So in one of my courses, I have the students complete an inclusion project where they create a workshop for their own students to make them more aware of the disabilities that are present in their classroom. For example, in some classroom you have students who are LD or students who are ADHD, so they got to pick their own disability that they would like to present, and you add the purpose of the project. So what the long-term relevance to students' lives and connection to learning outcomes, like what's the purpose of this inclusion project? And I explained to them that, how important it is for the inclusion process that everyone, including the students, are aware of characteristics of students with disabilities and how to deal with them and what are the best strategies as students they could use to help their peers who have a disability. So a lot of them were like, yeah, that's true. Maybe if they knew what LD was or what ADHD was, they wouldn't be so scared or bully them, or they would be more understanding. So, putting the purpose out there made it more relevant for them to complete it. And then, of course, explain the task, like exactly what they need to do and how to do it, the steps to follow. And I had a very elaborate kind of directions, like, this is what is expected. This is what you're going to include in your presentation. And most of them followed those steps and did really well. And also include the criteria for success. So include a checklist or rubric so that students can self-evaluate. And I had this rubric, right? So I told them, I am going to be using this rubric in order to see whether your project is a good project or a mediocre project or, needs to be redone. And they had that on their syllabus and they read it and they did really good. And also give them examples of what excellence looks like. Which I shared examples with them. This is what other students did, and this is what this is what made this their project really exceptional. And just by adding those 3 components to an assignment, you have this research saying that it's going to increase, either their academic confidence, their sense of belonging, and metacognitive awareness of skill development. So it was really like this was an aha moment for me when I read about this strategy, because it's so simple and so logical, yet we don't always use it or have those components in our classroom, but in our assignments. But when we do, it will have very positive returns.
Wow, so powerful. And as you say, simple but powerful.
Yes.
And this is really the essence of the high impact online teaching practices that is the emphasis here, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Absolutely. And this brings my presentation to an end. So I want to say, many thanks to the Gardner Institute, of course, for giving us this chance to participate in such a wonderful course and make connections with other faculty members who are, all over the nation. So it was great. And again, I want to emphasize this is just a little portion of what I have learned. There's much more.
Well, in our final minute here, do you have any suggestions for colleagues who may want to dip their toe a little bit further into high impact online teaching practices? How do you suggest somebody that wants to go that way start?
Well, to start, we have a repertoire of all the documents and videos that were shared through this course. So I think that would be a good start, just to look at some of the material that was shared by the organizers of the course, and then information from this kind of toolbox that we created will take you to more places and more places, because every little thing that you learn, you find that is connected to another thing, and then you learn about that new thing. So I would definitely say start with that toolbox that we have.
Okay, and we will put access to that toolbox in with these videos, so people can find it and begin looking and
Yes.
and exploring and implementing. So
Yes.
so thank you so very much. We can't I can't express how thankful I am, grateful for your time, your expertise, and what a fabulous presentation to give us, like you said, just a glimpse into some of the many high impact practices and what you did with them. So thank you, Dr. Elhage, so very
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, bye-bye now.
Bye.